So we go on to the next season, first in League One. There wasn't really any expectations, but we started poorly, but then got into quite a rhythm. So I'm going to take you to Boxing Day of the 2015-16 season, back at Colchester. I think you'd scored once for us,
Yeah,
maybe twice.
I believe so. Yeah, yeah. No, I never scored for Colchester either.
Oh yeah. So the ball falls to you. Was it a volley or was it just a shin?
It was a hell of a left foot volley. No, it was actually a volley, and it was intentional. But the way it happened, I was expecting, or I was calling for a layoff sooner than I got it.
Yeah,
And then once it didn't come, I was half not expecting it to come, and then I think it was a little toe like a little toe end clearance that knocked it to me, as
yeah,
opposed to someone actually physically trying to set me up for a shot.
yeah.
So I wasn't as ready for it,
Mm.
and then it came to me, and it was one of those. It was a snapshot. It was, if I'd have had time to think about it, it probably would have gone over the bar or hit the corner flag or something. But it was one of those moments that it just happened. It was instinct. It happened, and I think it might even have caught the goalie off guard a little bit. He wasn't expecting it to come through at that point, and it probably came through a few bodies as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was intentional, but yeah, I mean, it was it was probably a bit of a kick in the teeth to Colchester, considering I'd never scored for them.
Yeah.
I'd come close a fair few times and probably should have scored at times, but never did. And I was always back for corners at Colchester. I was never up. I was never
Mm.
one of the big boys, so I was never up for corners. I was fairly quick, so I was at the back in case of counter attacks and that kind of stuff. So it never really worked in my favour at Colchester. But at Southend, I'd grown up, if you like, and I was up for corners. I was a fairly advanced fullback at the time that was playing quite high against them, and I was just supporting an attack, I believe. I can't remember how it came about just before that, but I was up and around it, just supporting.
Yeah.
And it, like I said, I think it was a toe end clearance that came to me, and it was a snap judgment. Give it to me again 10 times, would I be able to score? Probably not. It was, I think it was right place, right time, and like I said, I think it caught the goalie off guard a little bit. He might want to do a bit better had he been given that opportunity again.
Yeah. And it seemed like you didn't really want to celebrate at first.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those. It was a bit of a respect thing. I've got so much respect, like I said, for everyone at the club at Colchester, and the fans. They were always great to me, and relatively still are, even though I'm at the enemy now for them. And vice versa. When I went from Colchester to Southend, they couldn't have been more accepting of me and welcomed me in. And I hope that it showed that I cared for where I was playing, who I was playing for, who I was playing in front of. I wanted to do well.
Mm.
And I hope that's what showed through. And it didn't matter my background as such. Yeah, obviously there's going to be the odd few that probably still hate me to this day for either from one or the other camp for going across camps. But each to their own. I mean,
yeah, of course.
It could have been a lot worse for me. And I don't really think I had anything but nice comments from people, from Colchester fans saying they're sad to see me go or whatever and wishing me well, and then Southend fans saying let's move forward, let's see what we can do, and all that kind of stuff. It was all support everywhere I went, which I can't thank them enough for, because it could have been a lot worse. I could have been hated by both sets of fans at one point, but no, it was incredible, the reception I got from both sides.
Yeah. So we move on again, this time to the 2016-17 season. It's the season that I, as a fan, have a lot of regret. I feel like I didn't really appreciate it enough as I should have. So how was that for you? Because that squad was quality. The characters, the way we played, everything.
Yeah, no, it was one of those kind of clicky moments and times, and I don't know if we were quite as tight as the season we got promoted, that kind of squad.
Yeah.
It was a different kind of mixture in the squad, but it just seemed to work.
Yeah.
I don't think everyone was like all best mates off the pitch and hanging out with each other all the time, but for whatever reason, it was still a good group, and we all got on. We all worked for each other, and I think it worked when it came to work time, if you like.
Yeah.
Everyone got on with it. Everyone did their part and went above and beyond to try and get the success we wanted.
Mm. And then I remember that video, the Christmas do in a high street in Manchester, when you're all piled on and Wordsworth's running around.
Yeah, no, we had some good times. We did have some good times, and I think that group was very much work hard, play hard. Like,
yeah.
But no, I think that in a funny way, it showed how tight we were as a group. It wasn't just one or two; it was pretty much everyone jumping on top. And I like to think that, yeah, there was a bit of alcohol involved, and it's not obviously great for youngsters looking at it, but it was all done in jest. It was all done in fun. There was no one harmed. There was no one risking lives, or that. Yeah, it was in the middle of a road, but I think it was well noticed by everyone not to be zooming around in cars. 25 lads in fancy dress having a bundle in the middle of a road. And then seeing Woody running around the outside doing his own thing as he would do from time to time. I think everyone kind of looked on it as seeing it for what it was and the fun that we were having. And like I said, no one really got angry at the time, and I think they took it for what it was, which was nice. And definitely. I think it just showed the enjoyment we had as a group. Yeah,
and I remember there was a lot of themed celebrations that year for whatever reason they were.
Yeah, I mean that just shows, I think, the spirit as well. When you have moments or events that happen, and you're able to take the mick out of them and bring those with you, and like you said, the different themed celebrations that just got produced from wherever. I think it was probably like the pre-match meal before the game, saying, right, if we score today, we're going to do this one, and probably lots of those celebrations. Probably a lot of the fans wouldn't have a clue what they're about, but it's obviously a moment for whoever scored or the group in general to express what they want to express and have a bit of fun between the group.
Definitely. So I get that. So we finished 7th. I think we was in the playoffs until about the 87th minute of that season when Millwall scored twice. Was that tough for you to take?
Yeah, it was a bit of a weird situation because we'd done all we could.
Yeah.
But Millwall's game, whether it started later or they had injuries or I don't know, but our game finished and then we were stood on the pitch.
Yeah.
While their game was still going. It still had probably 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, I think there was like 12 minutes stoppage time or whatever it was.
Yeah, so I mean, they finished after us, and obviously we needed to know what their result was because that would depend on where we finished.
Yeah.
And I think it was a bit of a freak game as well with the scoreline over there.
Yeah, 4-3.
Yeah, so it was a weird time because normally, obviously, games all finish at the same sort of time, within a minute or two of each other.
Yeah.
So it would have been a case of get off the pitch, find out the result, and then we know where we stand. Whereas this, it's not happened to me before, where you just stood around on the pitch waiting for someone to say, "Oh, it's finished now," or they've scored, or they've scored. So it was a bit of an odd one, and then to fall out by, was it goal difference or was it a point?
1 point.
Yeah, it's not easy to take, and then you feel like a bit of a slump, really, a bit of a it was so close and it didn't quite happen, and then you probably start dwelling on things and thinking, oh, if only we'd got a point in this game when we should have done, or if I'd have scored then, or anyone can do that, but it doesn't really help things because you can't change anything then.
Of course.
But yeah, no, it was an odd situation and frustrating because it got that close. But again, probably a little bit unexpected as well.
Yeah. And then I know you talked about earlier about the sort of hangover type. Would you say that was the case? Because things kind of went downhill for Phil Brown and the squad then.
Yeah, I think a bit of that, a bit of possibly, was a squad change at the time, a few players in and out, and it's sometimes hard to get that group back. Once it's changed enough, it's hard to work in new players that aren't of the same, I don't know, the energy, or you swap something for something different, as in player-wise. It's sometimes difficult to get that balance again.
Yeah.
And I think possibly that was a little bit of the case. It didn't have that feeling that we had previously.
Yeah.
And it's not always, well, it's very, very difficult to sometimes put your finger on what's changed or what's different, or why is it not doing this, or why are we not doing that, or why are we doing this now that we weren't doing before. So I think it's sometimes, especially when you're in it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's easy to get so involved in it that you can't see what's in front of you.
Yeah.
And possibly that happened a little bit with towards the end of Phil Brown's time there. I think he had a strong squad, as in characters. So yeah, I don't know what it was, and like I said, people get paid a lot of money to be able to put a finger on what's changed, or like I said, what's going wrong. And for whatever reason, we couldn't quite do it, and it didn't get to the same level as previously.
Yeah, and obviously I've read in interviews there'd be players who felt that maybe some players like Niall Ranger, he wouldn't show up training or he'd be late, but then he'd be the first name in the team sheet, and that was hard to take. Would you say that's the case for you? Like you like you say, you're a model pro, and then you're trying your hardest to get into the team, and then
sometimes it's it makes it difficult to take when you know you're doing everything you can, even if you're not performing as well as you could do.
Yeah.
You know that there's other players that are not even not trying, but not trying as hard as you.
Yeah.
That can walk into a team, and like, I get it with Range that he's got some unbelievable quality.
Yeah.
On his day, he showed it in flashes that he's unplayable. He's so hard to play against. He can do what he wants with the ball. He can do what he wants with people around him, and he can produce ridiculous things that you didn't think were possible.
Yeah, Premier League quality.
Yeah, without a doubt. And you could see that in flashes. And that, I think, was probably as frustrating as anything, that you see it and then it disappears again.
Yeah.
Or he's late for training. And it happened too many times for it to be just brushed under the carpet.
Yeah.
I think that was his downfall as much as anything, because he did, at times, he did think you could see that he was trying.
Yeah.
You could see that he wanted to be better. He didn't want, like, one-on-one, he's the nicest guy in the world. And to this day, I get on well with him, and I think he's a top guy, which probably makes it even more frustrating.
Yeah. Because
it's something as simple as being on time. I personally don't see how that can be a big problem, being on time.
Yeah.
But I know everyone's circumstances are different, and their lives are different, and the way they live their life is different, and their situations are different. I don't know what they've been through.
Yeah.
Growing up, through their young adulthood, through their peak of their career. I don't know the pressures. There's so much that goes on that you don't see.
Yeah.
So I'm very much one that doesn't like to judge people, and possibly at times a bit too forgiving. In that I try and see the best in people wherever possible. And like with Range, like I said, he'd show some unbelievable stuff, but in my head, I'm thinking, just don't be late. Don't be late. Be here 20 minutes early rather than rolling in 1 minute past.
Yeah.
Just to show people as much. I don't care if he doesn't want to do it, but if he just does it to show people that he cares, show people that he wants it, he wants to be better, he wants to make an effort, because I don't doubt for a second that he wanted the best. He wanted the best for us, himself.
Definitely.
It was an opportunity for him to show what he could do still. But like I said, it makes it so frustrating when you see so much potential in someone, and it's a silly thing that lets it down. And like I said, I hold nothing against him, but it's frustrating to see. It's tough to see. And you think, it starts to spread, I think, within the squad. Why am I trying as hard as I am? Why am I doing as much as I am and still not playing? And someone can turn up late, they can stroll around a bit and then produce a goal from nothing and then be in the team again.
Yeah.
It does. I think that's where it left managers little option other than to do something about it and make a show of it. Because it, like I said, it can easily spread amongst others, and people get annoyed within the squad at times, and it's not good when you start getting rumblings in the squad and people get unhappy because of that sort of stuff. When it's, in my mind, it's something that's easily rectifiable. Is just being on time. But like I said, I don't judge people on things like that. And like I said, I get on really well with him, and he's a real nice guy, and still follow him on social media and that kind of stuff. And I don't hold it against him. And I'd still love to sit down and have a chat with him if I saw him. And but yeah, no, like it's like I said, there were big characters at that time, and they at times wouldn't take. They'd probably be the ones to put their foot down and say, "No, this isn't good enough."
Yeah.
And say, "I'm not having that. You sort yourself out." That kind of thing, which isn't a bad thing, because that holding a high standard amongst the squad can only be a good thing.
Yeah. Do you think that was Phil's downfall? The fact that there were so many characters and the sort of not bad egg, but the negativity started to rise.
I don't know. It's one of those things. It's tough to know the point where things started going bad. To know what was the catalyst to that. I mean, he liked having a strong changing room that could kind of police itself a little bit. And I don't know. Maybe there were too many strong opinions. I don't know. It's difficult to say exactly what it was, but yeah, things just needed a change after that, I believe.
Yeah. So we're gonna skip forward a sort of. We obviously Chris Powell comes in, club legend. We started well again at January. I saw to Taylor Moore. We were 9 points off playoffs, but also 9 points off relegation. And then freak injuries happened, 13 out at one point. Do you think Chris deserved a sack?
Again, I think that's an opinion. From my opinion, like I said, I try and see the best in people, but that's why I'm not where the chairman is or anything like that, because I wouldn't like to have to make those decisions.
Yeah.
I'm glad it doesn't fall on my shoulders to make those decisions, because, like I said, I'm probably one of those that would give people too long to try and turn it around.
Yeah.
And sometimes it proves right to make a change. Other times, people think, it was too soon, or like I said, it was you left it too long. And so, like I said, I'm glad that it doesn't fall to me to make those decisions. And it's not just football; it's someone's life, it's someone's career.
Of course.
It affects so much more than just he's not the manager anymore. You're out of a job. You're thinking, depending on your situation, you're thinking, what next? Is that going to affect me in the long run? Can I go up from this? Can I sort of stay at the level I'm at? Do I have to go down somewhere else to try and work back up? It's not as simple as just getting a new manager. Kind of thing. Like I said, with me, I'd probably say I'd give people that bit too much of the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
At times, not always, but at times I think I'm probably waiting for that turnaround, because I know what is possible. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, or it looks like it's likely to happen. But like I said, I'm just glad I don't have to make those kind of decisions.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about one game, probably the most frustrating game of last season. I think you know what it's going to be. You managed to stay on the pitch for the full 90 despite getting 2 yellow cards.
That's an achievement, isn't it?
How was that game for you? Because it was in the stands and it was the most frustrating 90 minutes.
Yeah, start to finish, it was a weird game. It was it's tough because I don't want to hammer the referee.
Yeah, but it was.
But it was one of the worst displays I've seen. You could see that. Not necessarily, there was nothing that jumped out majorly in the first half other than right at half time.
Yeah.
Where we had the free kick, put it into the box, keeper's gone up. I guess the ref thought he was just going to catch it and stop still. And the ref's either turned his back or kind of stopped watching And as he's done that, the keeper's fumbled it onto the floor. And was it Taylor that had...
Yeah, Taylor Moore scored.
As Taylor Moore was about to put it in the net, he blows the whistle, which is unheard of. And yeah, that instantly, that moment, it just, you're thinking to yourself, here we go.
Yeah.
Is this going to be like, is this fate? Is this going to mean that everything's going to go against us today? And it kind of did in the end. When incidents like that happen, they don't happen very often. And when there's so much on the line for us,
yeah,
it felt even more important that they got those decisions right. And like I said, it's not something that's happened to me before, and I'm not sure it's something that will happen again in my career. So that in itself was tough to take, and it does kind of leave a bad taste going into half time. You're thinking, oh, we should be 1-0. You feel hard done by, if you like.
Yeah.
But to a certain extent, we didn't let it affect us too much. It's one of those, the manager's then on us to try and forget that. It's happened now. Leave that with him to argue the point and all that kind of stuff. Watch the video and go into... probably went into the referee at half time and said, what have you just done there? But I think we looked strong second half.
Yeah.
I think we looked stronger than we had first half. Maybe a few nerves and things first half from both sides, because they were in a bad position as well and they needed the win as much as we did. But going into the second half, I felt like we were strong. We had a few really good chances. I remember Elvis having a clear-cut chance that he managed to put wide after going on some kind of mazy run.
Yeah.
A little 1-2, I think it was. And obviously having a defender or a right back going into the box with the ball, you'd rather someone else. But if that goes in, everything's different.
Yeah, on another day, we win that game 4-0.
Exactly. And yeah, then when things like that happen, you think it could be a problem here. And then I remember the first booking.
Yeah, I think you literally just picked the ball up and got a yellow card.
Yeah, because he thought we were time wasting, taking throws. And I literally got past the ball, picked it up, and then he gave me the yellow card. So that was unnecessary. I think it was a case of the team might have been time wasting and I got the brunt of it.
Yeah.
But again, it shouldn't have been, in my opinion. I think he should have given me at least a few seconds to not throw it before he booked me. But yeah, then obviously they're chasing the game right towards the end. They need something out of it. So they're putting 3s and 4s up front, trying to leave people up so that we can't go and attack down the other end. And they started lumping the ball up long and trying to just get a ricochet or a bounce or something to drop to them in and around our box. And then one of them, it did happen where I've tried to shield the ball to Ox, I think it was, or maybe even just out for a goal kick. And as I put my arm out to not block anyone, just to hold my ground, the guy's gone over like I've elbowed him in the face, and the ref, God knows how, has fallen for it. The guy's rolling around on the floor. You can see in the video from all our reactions that it never, ever been a penalty. But he gave the penalty and somehow booked me. Whether he hadn't realised he'd already booked me, I don't know. But I remember, I think it was to Elvis, I said it. I whispered it to him. I said, he's already booked me. Like, why has he not sent me off? And he was just like, shh, be quiet. So, yeah, I kept quiet and didn't understand it.
Yeah.
I got booked for something that I didn't even see was a foul.
Yeah.
Whether he had to do it because he'd given the penalty, I don't know. But, yeah, then obviously they scored. We were devastated. You could see it from everyone's reaction as soon as the final whistle went. And I felt hard done by, yes, but I felt like, even though I didn't feel like I'd done anything wrong, like I'd kind of let the team down a bit because we'd worked so hard in a scrappy game at times. And had it not been for that penalty, we'd have got the result we earned and wanted and needed. So it was a bad change room and a bad journey home from that. Yeah. I think I heard something about the ref had written to the club since.
Yeah, to say sorry.
Yeah, apologising. But at that point, it's too late. there's nothing that can be done, and it doesn't help us in the slightest getting an apology.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was as you can tell from my tone, it baffles me how everything went. But like I said, in the end, it worked out all right. But it could have been a bit more of a gap between relegation and where we were.
Yeah. So after that game, we needed 6 points from 3 games. We beat Burton, lose against Rochdale. The easy task of beating the biggest team in the league live on Sky. Nervous?
Yeah. Massively. And it was a late kickoff as well. I think it was 5 o'clock.
5:30, yeah.
5:30, yeah. So back to the kind of old days where I was stressing, I was nervous, I was pacing around, I was trying not to let it affect me, but I just felt like I had 100 kilos on my back. I felt like it was so much pressure. Whether that's, I don't know why. Obviously, it was the nature of it and what was on the line.
Yeah.
I don't know if everyone felt the same, but from my personal point of view, that I just felt like it was a huge deal. It was make or break. And obviously it was. If we'd have not got the result, we'd have been relegated there and then.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was definitely feeling it. I was definitely, as much as I tried to relax and forget about football for the whole day and up until it was time to get ready, it was impossible for me. But going into the game, it felt, I don't know, I had a good feeling. About it. Luckily, Sunderland weren't in the position to win anything on that day. They couldn't have got automatic, I don't think, from the result. So, albeit they obviously wanted to finish as well as they could and, have that momentum going into the playoffs, I think possibly it helped us in maybe they took the foot off the gas 10, 15%, as opposed to if they had nothing to play for, it might have been 20, 30%.
Yeah.
Which it did help us, I believe. And on the day, I believe that we wanted it that little bit more.
Yeah.
And that kind of showed a little bit. Obviously, they were a great team and they had that quality. And again, with the budgets and stuff, they had that behind them. So we knew it was going to be a tough game.
Yeah.
But myself, I think I went through every emotion under the sun, and it was an eventful game for me.
Yeah, and we'll go on to talk about that. But I always, I don't know whether other fans feel the same, but I always put that game above Wembley, just because with the playoffs, if you lose that, you've got the feeling, we've had a good season.
Yeah.
With Sunderland, it had been knock after knock. If you lose, that's people's jobs gone. That's pay cuts. Everything changes. But we go 1-0 up, and without disrespecting you, you're probably the last player in the squad I expected to score because it wasn't Charlton. You only seem to score against Charlton. So the ball gets whipped in, goes flying up in the air. What goes through your head?
I think it was another one of those moments where it was instinct kicked in.
Yeah.
I don't know the last time I've ever tried an overhead kick.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll ever try another one.
Yeah.
But it was a case of the ball was where it was. It was kind of, I was back to goal. And I didn't fancy myself to try and take it down, beat a man in the box, surrounded by others, and try and slot it in. But yeah, no, I think it was instinct again. Because I'd have had time to think about it. 9 times out of 10, that goes flying over the stand.
Yeah.
But no, it happened. Now I can picture it. It happened kind of slow motion. And people have said, "Oh, did you not know you scored?" and all that kind of stuff. But it was hard because I was back to goal, but I had bodies between me and the goal. So I knew I'd put it in the right direction. And yes, I was trying to score with an overhead kick or at least get a shot on target. But because there were so many bodies between me and the ball, as I kind of hit the floor, I looked up and saw it kind of go into the net. But I had no idea had someone deflected it in or it come off one of their players, or I had no idea until obviously I was sat on the floor and then everyone came to me, grabbed me, And then I kind of realised that it was my goal. I'd scored, and it meant a lot. It really did. It did mean a lot. And like I said, I've not hit an overhead kick before that I can remember, and I can't see it happening again in my career.
Would you say it's the best one you ever scored?
Yeah, because it was most important. It was most important.
Definitely.
And I call it the overhead shin, because it probably came off the bottom of my shin pad or something like that. But it was intentional in that I was going for an overhead kick.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's probably not the most spectacular thing. It's probably it would have looked nicer had it been a bit more technical. But like I said, it was the most important at the time, and it was just nice to get it. It didn't matter how it went in. I don't care if it had hit my back and gone in.
Yeah, goal's a goal.
Yeah, it was a crucial goal, and it was a good time to get it.
Yeah. So second half, the sunny skies start coming over with rain and cloud. You kind of get that feeling that it's not going to go our way. Ball comes over the top. Southend's favourite player, Chris Maguire. Did you slip?
Yeah, no, I did. I slipped. As it kind of bounced, I kind of half went to pull out because I saw Ox coming at me.
Yeah.
And as I've done that, my foot's just gone from under me, and I've slipped, and I don't know how much contact there was. I don't think there was enough contact for him to be rolling around or to be...
Make a meal of it.
Yeah, I don't think I took him out, if you like.
Yeah.
There might have been contact between me and him, and let's get it right. If that happened for us, you'd want our striker to go rolling around and get the penalty.
Definitely.
You wouldn't hold it against them for that, for doing what they did. And I would very much hold it against them had we not scored at the end. But it was. I felt hard done by, although I don't know if it gave the ref too much of a choice.
Yeah,
I think it was a decision like that it didn't really. The situation was unfortunate for me, but I think it didn't give him too much choice in the matter. So, but I'm not, now that everything worked out all right, I can take it. Yeah. Had it cost us relegation, then I'd feel a whole lot different about it. I'd probably still be thinking about it as we speak.
Yeah.
Because it would hurt to know that as much as it was me that did it, it wasn't it wasn't really something that I hadn't chosen to go to ground to try and win the ball, and it had gone wrong, because I wouldn't do that in those situations, in that circumstance, unless I had no other option, and it was a clear tap in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it makes it easier to take, knowing now what happened and the result, and we just wanted a bit of entertainment, didn't we?
It's never easy being a Southend fan, and that showed. So Stephen Humphreys comes off the bench, first game back after destroying his face. Written in the stars, we know what happens. He scores. What goes through your head at full time?
It was, even then, there was so much going on. It was a few minutes before the end of normal time. I think it was just after that, or just before that, I'd fallen, got tripped up on, if you like, and that's when I broke my wrist.
Yeah.
The first time. I think it might have been after the goal. And because of that, there was I think it was 6 or 7, something like that, minutes.
Felt like an hour
of added time. And so, I was personally going through a lot of pain. And it was a case of strapping my wrist up. It was an accident, a complete accident. I'd fallen forward and I had my weight on both my hands. I was on my hands and knees, if you like.
Yeah.
And someone had tripped on my wrist.
Mm.
And as they've done that, it's just snapped the bone. I didn't know it at the time. And I said to Ben, it hurt a lot, but didn't know it was broken. I said to the physio, Ben, I said, mate, we've got no subs. If I'm going to play on, you're just going to have to strap this up as tight as you can and hope it holds together, kind of thing. So he did that. And it made the last few minutes interesting. Unfortunately, I think the ball only came close enough to me for me to have to make contact with someone, like once, I think, in the next few minutes.
Mm.
But those minutes after Hump scored just felt like a lifetime. I think I kept asking the ref, how long? And then he'd give it, 5 minutes, or then it'd go down to like 4 or 3. And then that last 1 minute, I know I asked him and he said 1 minute left. And I was shouting around everyone saying, we've got 1 minute, we've got to stay strong, just get through it, don't do anything silly, get the ball up there half of the pitch, that kind of, just trying to get everyone else to make sure that we didn't slip up on anything, on the fine detail. But when he blew that whistle, it was well and truly up there with that feeling of Wembley.
Yeah.
Like you say, a lot of fans might hold it in higher regard than Wembley because, you've not been promoted if you don't win the playoffs.
Yeah.
But you haven't lost anything as such.
Yeah.
Whereas you get relegated, it doesn't,
all or nothing.
Yeah, it doesn't just affect you. It affects everyone. It affects the fans. It affects the staff. It affects the backroom staff, the staff that work at the ground. Like you say, the jobs, everything's on the line.
Yeah.
So it was unreal. And that feeling when everyone ran on the pitch was crazy. It was crazy. Like everyone, I've got loads of respect for everyone that did come on because they were very respectful of us. They weren't pulling us around or being silly with us. They just wanted to share in that moment with us, and they were so respectful in the way that they did it. It was a great feeling having everyone on there with us.
Yeah. So we come to this season. Some say it's the worst in the club's history. Without doubt, probably the worst since you've been at the club. What's gone wrong? Again,
I've said it before. There's lots of things. There'll be lots of factors to it. It's not just one thing, or it's not just one person or a group of people. I think when you start your season badly, it sets you off in the same tone that it finished, other than the last day of the season. I think it was, if we'd have started the season, not even necessarily on fire, but if we'd have started solidly, I think it would have given that belief instantly that we deserve to be here. We are good enough to be at this level and to kick on. But where we had such a poor start, it immediately kind of gets you back into the same sort of feelings as the season before, where it's never easy when things are going bad.
Yeah,
you need your characters and everything to try and get you through that. But it's hard when you've got that, like you say, the hangover feeling of it kind of sucks you back into that without you wanting it to. It kind of it takes you back to that, and it never really got going, I don't think. And then expectations started dropping, and negativity creeps in, whether it be through players, fans, the media.
Yeah,
it kind of, without reading too much into the media and all that kind of stuff, it can have an effect, and it will have an effect, even if you do your best to stay away from it all. But I think it just dragged on then, and then one game dragged into another game, and then into another game, and
it's got worse and worse.
It didn't ever really pick up and get to a point where you felt really confident in every game we're going out expecting to win, because you get that at times when you're doing well.
Yeah,
doesn't matter who gets put in front of you. At times, you're going to go out and you've got a great chance of winning the game. Whereas at times it's difficult not to go into a game thinking we can't lose.
Yeah,
and then you attack it in a whole different way without meaning to.
Yeah,
and especially with the home form was terrible.
Yeah,
and that's something that when we got promoted and got close to promotion, that we did so well, was our home form was so good, and the team didn't like coming to us. They'd changed the way they played when they came to us. They were not fearful of us, but they'd approach the game differently. Whereas when teams are coming to a team that's struggling, they're full of confidence. They come in expecting to win a game, and they approach it differently. So it kind of it affects the way you approach the game as well.
Yeah. And obviously, I went to every game last season. There were I'd go to Friday night Tranmere, Tuesday night Shrewsbury, and there'd be points where you'd think, what's the point? Because I could probably, from my personal point of view, obviously I weren't in the training ground, but I felt like I could count on one hand maybe you, Elvis, Humphreys, probably a few others who actually cared about the club. obviously without naming names, did you feel like there were players who maybe didn't care or lost interest?
No, I doubt that for a second. I don't think personal pride, as much as anything, will get in the way of that. I think the way it comes off might reflect that.
Yeah.
But I know for 100% certainty that not one player didn't want to do well for initially themselves, but for the club as well.
Yeah.
Because you don't get to be in a professional footballer if you're not, number one, competitive, if you don't want to win.
Yeah.
Or if you do become a pro, you don't last.
Yeah.
If you don't have those instincts in you to want to be better, to do better, to have success. Nobody enjoys football when things are bad.
Yeah.
But that's obviously when you need strong people around to try and work through that and to get out the other side of it. Excuse me. But like I said, I do not doubt any of the players for a second that people didn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's different and everyone projects differently into how they feel, and frustration creeps in a lot, and you can see that in body language, and people sometimes just didn't know how to handle the situation.
Yeah.
And for youngsters especially, it's tough coming into maybe trying to break through or come into a team that's full of players that are low on confidence, or little things you may not even notice just don't happen naturally. When you're on flames or you're on fire and you're doing well, things just kind of take over and you do it without realizing. Whereas those little things that make a difference, if you add them all up together, you have to make yourself do them rather than doing them instinctively.
Yeah.
So I think it becomes harder without wanting it to become harder, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
And it can make it tougher without people wanting it to be that way.
Yeah. And obviously, hindsight's a wonderful thing. I mean, it took us 10 weeks to appoint Sol Campbell, and he wasn't even the club's first choice. That was just because the Larson deal fell through last minute. Did that, obviously, I imagine for Gary Waddick, that was very tough. He's being asked 10 weeks in a row, not knowing where his future was. Was that for just similar for you as a players, not knowing where your future's headed?
To a certain extent, yeah. I mean, it's never nice having that uncertainty and not knowing whether everything's going to be turned on its head within the next week. It could have happened at any point.
Yeah.
But with Gary, and I think he did so well with the time he had.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't long. And he was, like you say, it was very uncertain for him as much as anyone.
Yeah, and I think he gets a lot of respect for that.
Massively. He's got huge respect from me and all the players. And I think things did change slightly when he took over, and I think he was a bit of a breath of fresh air, and he had his own ideas. You could see he was a strong manager that wanted us to do well. He motivated everyone. He looked after the group, and I think he kind of just, I think he did what needed to be done.
Yeah.
And through the tough time that he was going through with his uncertainty, that doesn't just happen. He made it happen.
Yeah.
And he could have been half-heartedly going into it, thinking, I'm not going to get the job anyway, what's the point?
Yeah.
He didn't. He
showed
did
his best.
His quality. He put on good sessions. He tried to get a smile on people's faces again. And results didn't go our way necessarily, but you could see a slight upturn in players, in confidence. Training was a lot noisier and happier, but like you said, in the long run, it didn't work out for him, and he didn't get that longer period of time that I think had he got, maybe it's hindsight, isn't it? You don't know what would have happened, but I believed in him and I had trust in him to do what was right. So I think he did an amazing job with the circumstances when he did get the caretaker role.
Yeah, so obviously in the transfer window in January, the Christmas period was pretty much make or break. Unfortunately, it didn't go well. We lost a lot of the high earners, if you like. I'm not expecting you to badmouth the owner or the club, but it's well documented late payments, if any payments. How hard has that been? Obviously, you're a father, you've got a family to provide for. How hard is that for you to keep
Um,
that standards?
Not for me personally to keep the standard,
Yeah,
because that's something I've done throughout, or tried to do at least throughout my whole career,
yeah,
is never let things outside get into my game.
yeah,
Um, and I pride myself on my professionalism in that I wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, at times it's going to affect you without you wanting it to, and without being able to control it as much as you'd like to, and it might have that effect.
yeah,
But it's a case of trying to keep on top of things and not let anything that's going on, whether it be your personal life, whether it be just outside of football, but outside of the matches and stuff, if you let that affect you too easily, then yeah, it's gonna have a bad effect on yourself as much as anything. And it's never nice having unpredictable times, but what we've seen with this pandemic, and it's the most unpredictable it's ever been.
yeah,
And it's tough as you get older as well as a player. Your contracts get shorter and shorter, and it becomes a year at a time, and every year it could be your last one. So I think it's tough enough with just that aspect of not knowing
yeah,
whether you're going to be wanted again next season, whether you're going to have to move to the other end of the country. Like you said, I've got a young son who's 8 and settled in his school. My wife's happy in Southend. So it's tough. It's tough being a footballer in general, especially as you get older.
yeah,
But yeah, those uncertain times make it really hard. And like I said, with the pandemic stuff at the moment, not having a light at the end of the tunnel where things are certain is even tougher. And like I said, I wouldn't want to have to make decisions the chairman's got to make because of this sort of thing. And it's not just budgeting for what he knows is going to be coming up. It's for the unknown, and who can predict the future enough to be able to be spot on with that. So no, it makes it hard. It does, but it's already difficult. Like I said, with the life of a footballer, especially when you get over 30. Like I said, contracts just get shorter and shorter, and the uncertainty just grows. And I think luckily you get that experience over the years to try and cope with it as best you can. And again, having those good people around you, the support you need, makes a huge difference for myself personally. Having good people around me just lets me sound to them. And my agent is decent as well, and he understands my situation. And I probably message him a little too often with what's going on and all that kind of stuff. But he knows my situation, and he knows what I'm going through, and he understands that, which makes a massive difference.
yeah. So obviously the season's finished. We know what's happening in League Two. Whilst we were filming it, flashed up. Mark Milligan's revealed that he has been released by the club. Our retained list is coming out next week. Have you been offered a contract?
Nothing as we stand, no. But I think that's understandable with the situation. I don't know if he knows what budget he's going to have to play with.
Yeah,
There was mentions of it before this happened, but I think it's a waiting game at the moment.
yeah,
It's the way with football kind of every year, but this one in particular with the pandemic stuff that's going on, it's so hard, especially not knowing if there's a definite start to next season date, whether crowds are going to be allowed in. All those things play a massive part in how the chairman, the manager, has to set up for next year. It's not as simple as we want him, so we'll get him,
yeah,
or we don't want him, so he can go. I mean, the easier ones are obviously the ones that they don't want here anymore, because they can just say, yeah, they're not being offered another year, or we're mutually agreeing to get rid of this contract. But the difficult ones are the ones they want, but they just don't know how much they can provide for that.
yeah.
So it's understandable that nothing's happened as of yet. I'd love to stay. I'd love to stay and play for as long as possible here, because I've loved everything about the club, and playing here, it's been great for me. And I don't want that to end anytime soon. I enjoy the people, the place, the stadium, the fans. Again, it's been local for me, so I haven't had to. I did move from Colchester to Southend when I first signed, because my son was so young. He was 1 at the time, so it's allowed me to have loads of time bonding with him, albeit him being at school now. But I'm happy here.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, if things don't work out here and I have to go somewhere else to prolong my career and go a bit further with it, then needs must. But as I said, I'd love to be here. I'd love to just get it done, get a contract put to me. I've never been one to have massive negotiations with the club. It's been a fairly quick process once it's been started, with regards to my previous contracts. So I think the last one, although it happened so late on, it took like 2 days. Once it had been offered, it took 2 days for it to be signed. So I think it's a case of hopefully something comes through sooner rather than later, because that will put my mind at ease as well.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's so unpredictable with the whole situation of football in general.
Yeah.
That it's tough to go to the chairman and say, "Come on, I need something now," because it just won't happen.
Yeah. And I think every Southend fan would want to see you here next season. Have the club, have they expressed an interest? Like, if we can, we will.
Like I said, before the COVID stuff happened, it was mentioned that we'd try and get something done for another year.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of stuff's got in the way since then, and there's been bigger priorities. Are we going to finish the season? Are we going to be relegated? What league are we going to be in next year? When are we going to start again? When are crowds going to... All these things have a huge effect on budgets, on contracts, all that kind of stuff. So, there's been nothing concrete since. But like I said, it was mentioned before, and hopefully that comes through and we can get something sorted. As soon as it gets put over, hopefully it can get sorted quickly and be able to move forward. Yeah,
well, hopefully things do work out well for you. We're going to move on now to our fans Q&A. We've had a few questions in.
Okay.
The first one's from Ben Humphrey. He says, would you ever consider coaching?
Possibly when I'm a bit older, but I did some as far long ago as when I was in the youth team. I think everyone has to do it, or had to do it at the time, do your first coaching badge, and it wasn't really for me. I get enjoyment from seeing the youngsters and the kids doing well and progressing, but I'm not one to be on the pitch or on the training pitch and telling people to do this session or do that session. I don't think it's for me, but I know a lot of players kind of get to a point and then all of a sudden think, actually, I quite enjoy that. But I know it's a tough world. There's only a certain amount of jobs, and sometimes it's who you know, not what you know, and being in the right place at the right time. But as things stand, I can't really see it being for me.
Yeah. So the next one is from Leighton Nolan. Favourite career goal?
It's got to be Sunderland. It's got to be. I mean, my favourite finish is probably one of the headers against Charlton. But yeah, favourite career goal. It meant so much. And it was something that I don't do too often. So yeah, it has to be that.
Yeah. Matt Ramsey's got two. He says, the best player you've played with and your best centre-back partner.
Best player I played with, I'm going to have to drop a name. But that's the thing. He was the best player, the best name I've played with. Wasn't necessarily in the form of his life when I played with him. But I can't help but drop Teddy Sheringham in there. But you could even see it when he came. He had to be 39, 40 at the time. But although he couldn't get around the pitch like he wanted to, the quality he had, the awareness of what was around him, he was helping the youngsters. His standards were so high that it was just an inspiration. He had that aura about him when he came, and to top it all off, he was the nicest guy in the world as well.
Yeah.
And I know I don't see him very often, but I know that if I was to see him tomorrow, I know he'd have time for me, and I'd be able to have a good chat with him, a catch up, see what he's doing now, because I know after he finished football, he went into a bit of golf and a bit of poker and stuff like that. But I think he might even be doing a bit of coaching now.
I think that, yeah, I think he is.
I think he went to West Ham for a bit as an attacking coach or a striker coach.
Yeah, I know he was at Roots Hall last season for a game, but that might have been season 4. And your best centre-back partner?
God, to be fair, because I've only been playing there a little while, I've not had too many. I'm going to say one. There's 2. One because he was decent at the time, even though I wasn't playing centre-back, I was playing next to him. Would have been John Egan because of how well he's kept progressing. He was a decent player at the time, and he just kept getting better and better. And it's clear to see now that he's a great player and he's playing at the top level, which I never doubted with him. You could see that hunger in him. But the other one has to be Adam Barrett. What a legend, both on and off the pitch. The nicest guy in the world. He was a top pro. He's a top man, and he's just one that all the kids should look up to as a coach now, and as when he was playing as a player. He was a proper professional man's man. He was solid. He was strong. He was a strong leader. He'd help people. He had time for people. He'd listen to you. He'd have an opinion. He was just all round. I got nothing bad to say about him.
Yeah. Liam Mass says, what was it like making your debut for Southend? I'll say when you signed permanently, because obviously you did play for us online.
I think I was still on a bit of a high from being made captain, if I'm honest. I can remember actually being asked to be it. Just on the morning of going to play Real Madrid, I think it was CT. We were just leaving our hotel, and the gaffer pulled me. He said, "You got a minute?" He was just sat down on like a table and a couple of chairs outside in the bit by the coach, and he said, obviously did his little piece and said, "Would you like to be captain?" And it was kind of unexpected because I'd never been like a proper captain. I'd had the armband from time to time, but literally when substitutes or something had been made or injuries. But to be made club captain was great for me, and it was, like I said, a little bit unexpected, but it was an honour for me. Like I said, I think I was still on a bit of a high from being made captain to take that into the start of the season, which was great.
Yeah. The next one's from Kieran Staggs. He says, I think we've covered it a bit, but how did you feel scoring against Colchester?
It was a great feeling because I scored. I wanted our team, albeit against the team that, other than Southend, is very close to my heart. I wanted to win. That was how I saw it. I wasn't doing anything to spite Colchester. I wasn't going any less hard in my game itself. I wasn't doing anything I wouldn't normally do because it was Colchester. I was trying to be as professional as possible and get the job done. And it was kind of I had both sides of the emotions with it because it was a great feeling. I scored. We won the game. It was brilliant. But at the same time, I kind of felt like I'd done the dirty on Colchester a little bit, but it is what it is. I've said it a lot. It's the cliche. It is what it is. But it was just what happened, and I hope they don't hate me for it. But if they do, I can't hold that against them either.
Yeah. Another question is from Essex Street Photography. They've gone with a bit of a different theme. What's the furthest you've gone on your bike in the lockdown period?
I think it's 56 miles. To be fair, I've done a few longer ones, but my kind of average is a couple of hours, which tends to be between 30 and 38, I'd say, miles. It seems to be my sweet spot a little bit because I never knew how long it takes to get warmed up on a bike. It seems to take sort of at least half hour, 40 minutes before I'm comfortable on the bike. And then if you go too far past that it's kind of 2.5+ hours, then if you don't have a break or start refueling, then I start to get uncomfortable, backache or whatever, neck ache, which I didn't expect to happen. But I've been really enjoying it, and I think it'll help with leg strength in my football game. And obviously it's burning calories when I'm not able to train as much.
Yeah. And the final question I've got for you today is, if you could give 16-year-old John White any bit of advice, what would that be?
Two bits would be self-belief, because although I have a strong belief in myself, it would be I'm not a massive believer in confidence in myself. Like, I don't. You get a lot of players not with an ego, but have such a strong belief in their ability. No matter what they're doing, no matter how well they're playing, they believe that they're the best player on the pitch. I never had that.
Yeah.
I was always one that just carried on trying to be not under the radar, but kind of just tried to go about my business. Be just at it, be on my game as much as possible. And the other one, I'll probably just leave it there. Maybe just I'll leave it there, because I don't want to go into too much of my self-doubt and all that kind of stuff. So just be confident in what I was doing, and kind of believe that no matter where I've been on a level with people, and not trying to keep up with people, if you like.
Yeah. So the final thing we're doing, I know you've put a lot of work into this over the past week. Over 500 career appearances for you, a remarkable achievement. You've played with a lot of players and a lot of good players. So now it's your favourite 11 and manager. Take it away when you're ready. Oh, I
wasn't expecting that. Like you said, I played with so many good players that there's no doubt I've forgotten a load, as well as people that aren't quite getting into the team or whatever. But all right, I'll just go with it. I'll go with it and start. And with goalies, like I said, I've had so many decent goalies over the time, but one that sticks out tiny bit above the rest is Aidan Davison at Colchester. He played at a high level. He was, again, not just on the pitch. He was quality on the pitch, but off the pitch as well. He was a bit like a dad figure, and he was the biggest character you've ever known. He was a bit weird with it, like goalies tended to be, a lot more back in the day than they are now. But he was a great character. He was a big man, and he just bred that confidence in people.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with my two centre backs. I'm going to go with Matt Heath. He played at the top level. He played in the Premiership. I remember some of his stories talking about playing at Highbury against Thierry Henry, and you can't take that away from people. He's played at the highest level, and to top it all off, he's one of those people that I will never lose contact with.
Yeah.
And he's a bit like a gentle giant.
Mm.
He's a real nice guy, but he had that killer instinct when it came to football, and it's not just because he's a close friend of mine. He was a great player. He was a great player, and he played, like I said, at the highest level, and deserves that respect. And then alongside him, I have Adam Barrett. Again, I've spoken about my respect for him and how good a player he was, and how he was as a person as much as he was as a player. And again, had a great career. Had a great career playing some real good football. I'll go with my right back, because I've not played with loads over the period, other than obviously when I was playing. But I'm going to go with Simon Francis.
Yeah.
Again, gone on to bigger, better things, playing in the Premier League for an extended period of time. Great player, nice guy as well. I didn't know him for loads of time, but again, if I saw him, I'm sure I'll be able to have a chat with him and a catch up and see how he is and stuff. But another one that's playing in the Premier League, you can't argue with that.
Yeah.
And that goes on to my left back, who has done the same thing, George Elokobi, another real close friend of mine, a huge character. But again, we're like brothers. We do anything for each other. We don't see each other all the time, but when we do, it's like we've not missed a day. But for all of that, he, again, played at the top level, played against some of the best players in the world, marking Ronaldo's and players like that. You can't argue with it, and not just to be there, to flourish there and have such a strong time there. Just that's my back four and my goalie. I'm going to go with a holding midfielder in Kevin Watson. He was a midfield maestro. He had the silkiest technique you'd see. When he played at Colchester, he'd not have any trouble, I don't think, in me saying that he couldn't get around the pitch as much as he possibly had done when he was younger. So he was more of a ball player, but he could see things, see passes, create things, and put it exactly where he wanted it on a sixpence, 99 times out of 100. And his quality was unbelievable. He was a great character as well. Like a lot of these players are not just great players; they were characters with it, and I think it showed on the pitch a lot of the time.
Yeah,
I'm going to go with Ryan Leonard because you can't miss him out. Another one that a great player. He's done so well for this club.
Yeah,
he's moved on to bigger things, if you like, with going to obviously Sheffield United, and moving around a little bit to go and play at Millwall and playing at a high level.
Yeah.
So he's got to be in there, and just for as much as anything for the time I shared with him.
Yeah.
And how much he did for this club, and you'll know yourself that he's
of course
club.
Definitely.
And staying as much as anything, staying as long as he did when he could have probably gone that bit earlier.
Yeah, definitely.
Just on the right a bit, I'm going to play Michail Antonio. Again, speaks for himself. Still playing at the highest level. He came to Colchester when he was a bit younger, and you could see bits and pieces of him then that he was a great player, and he kept going forward from there on. He kept stepping forward, stepping up. Another huge character. I don't know if you follow him on Instagram or Twitter.
Yeah, my mate's West Ham fan, so see a lot.
See on social media how much of a character he is, how much he's enjoying himself, not just on the pitch but off the pitch. And he's a bit of a joker and a character. And he's another one that is just infectious. He looked after me in between leaving Colchester and going to Southend. When I got the phone call to come and sign for Southend, I was in his house about to start pre-season training with Sheffield Wednesday, who Michail Antonio was at the time. And he'd cleared it with the manager, just not for a trial or anything, but just to try and start pre-season with them to get some fitness.
Yeah.
So he very much looked after me in that uncertain time because I'd not been out of the club at the time until then. Yeah. So he's got a kind heart as well. And just behind the front two, I'm going to go with Neil Dans.
Yeah.
Again, still playing at a decent level, but again played at great level. And to show at his age, being that older player now, that he's still got that engine, that work rate, that quality. I feel like I'm a broken record here saying another character, but he's still got so much quality about him, even all these years on from where he was back in the day. And I know he came on loan to Colchester for a decent period of time and scored a load of goals, and just another player you'd want in your team, and you'd want not to be against you. And with my two up front, I'm going with a pairing that played together, and because of their relationship with each other on the pitch as much as off the pitch, it was both cases would have to be Chris Iwelumo and Jamie Curitan. Both, they worked so well together. The little and large combo. It just seemed, whether it was just that season or two, they clicked, and it was so nice to play with. But I feel bad for missing out on so many great players. In most other teams would get straight into their teams, and especially with my most recent history with Southend, there's so many great players. Obviously, goalies, Bents, Ted, who I feel frustrated that he hasn't been able to do what he wanted to do with his career and what he had the potential to do with his career. There's all sorts. There's Dean Gherkin as well, Jimmy Walker. There's some unbelievable players. I could keep going on forever. And then there's Michael Turner's, there's Taylor Moore's, there's Danny Bart, who's playing in the Championship regularly. There's Ben Coker, obviously another Southend bit of a hero. Will Atkinson's, Stephen McLaughlin, David Worrell, Dean Hammond, Kem Izzet, Cole Dugoods, Chris Barker's, Steve Morrison, obviously had a great career. Kevin Lisby's, Freddie Eastwood, Noel Ranger, Teddy Sheringham didn't get in it. Barry Core, Tom Hopper,
loads.
It's just endless, the list.
Yeah.
So it's been a tough one, but I made sure I plotted it out a little bit.
Yeah.
Before, otherwise I'd have just forgotten so many of them.
And who's your manager?
Can I have a manager and an assistant?
Of course.
Okay, I'm going to go manager. I'm going to have to go Phil Parkinson.
Yeah.
Because he gave me my debut, had the promotion with him. And then I know Phil Brown wouldn't like it being an assistant, but just to have him in there because he brought me to the club, made me captain, had great success with him. And I'm amongst other managers that I'm thankful to, those two are well up there with who've given me a great opportunity. And I can't thank them enough for having that belief and trust in me as much as anything.
Yeah. Well, that brings an end to our interview. It's been great listening to your stories. I hope it weren't too boring for you.
No, it's good revisiting a lot of it because it's one of those things you don't do by yourself. You don't do it from time to time where you probably should do, but it's nice to go over some of the memories and it kind of brings them back to the front of your mind a little bit and reminisce a little bit. So it is nice to do it and to think about those people that you haven't thought about for a while.
Yeah, and of course, thanks for all the help you've given us the past year and hopefully we'll see you at Roots Hall for the match. Fingers crossed. Yeah, no, hopefully that all works out for getting there. And again, you're doing great things for great people and hopefully it carries on, that you keep raising the awareness as much as the money and it keeps going the way it is because it's doing amazing things for people that you may not even know how much it's helping. So keep up the good work, and it is appreciated, not just by myself but by everyone that's been touched by these cases and what's going on. Cheers. So that's brings an end to episode 7. John, I hope we see you at Roots Hall next season, and I hope it all turns out well. Hopefully. Hope to be there. Yeah. Cheers, everyone.